So, The Walking Dead officially wrapped with season 11, but let's be real, did it really feel like the end? Not really. Even though it was marketed as the big finale, there was way too much left hanging. That's probably why we've already seen spin-offs like Dead City, Daryl Dixon, and The Ones Who Live blow up. Fans clearly aren't done with the TWD universe, and neither are the people making it. The world still got stories to tell, and the creators are showing no signs of slowing down. Now, Dead City Season 2 is dropping in May, and Daryl Dixon is already locked in for a third season next year. That alone shows that the story is still very much alive, and with The Ones Who Live bringing Rick Grimes back into the picture, all this buzz around a possible Season 12 of the main series, yeah, it's picking up steam fast. There's a lot of chatter that we might see a big crossover event, and honestly, the timing feels kind of perfect. Scott M. Gimple, the guy who's been steering the ship for over a decade, recently hinted that he wants to bring back the longer season format, like 16 episode seasons kind of long. He said in an interview that his dream is to get back to doing another 16-hour a year series. That's huge. And while he didn't flat out say season 12 is coming, it's hard not to read between the lines. He's clearly cooking up something big. But here's the thing, those 6 episode spin offs work because they focus on just a couple characters. A full blown 16 episode season, that kind of setup needs all the heavy hitters back. You can't just do that with a limited cast. Gimple himself said, "We're talking about that." So clearly, there are real convos happening behind the scenes. We don't know what the storyline would be or who the main villain is, but it's starting to sound like something big is forming in the background. Now, as much as I'd love to see the OG squad back for a longer season, let's be honest, it's going to be hard to make that happen. By the time season 11 ended, there were so many characters. It was tough enough keeping up with everyone back then, and not everyone even got the closure they deserved. Plus, Rick and Michonne weren't even in the finale, so trying to get everyone back together again, that's going to be a scheduling nightmare. A lot of the cast has moved on to other big things. Norman Reedus and Jeffrey Dean Morgan are still carrying the torch in the spin-offs, but they're booked and busy too. Getting people like Denai Guerrera, Josh McDermott, Ross Marquand, and Carrie Payton back on set, not going to be easy. And convincing Andrew Lincoln, Lauren Cohan, and Melissa McBride to all jump back in at the same time, that's a long shot. Don't get me wrong, I'd absolutely love to see all of them share the screen again, but asking them to drop everything and commit to a 16 episode shoot, that's asking a lot. And if the show goes ahead without key characters, it's just not going to feel the same, especially not for fans who've been waiting years to see Rick reunite with Daryl or reconnect with the rest of the crew. You can't really do a proper crossover without your big names. Rick's return only hits hard if he's surrounded by people we've watched him fight and survive with for years. If those characters are just not there, it's going to feel off, no matter how they explain their absence. And it's not just about the OGs either. Newer characters like Princess, Mercer, and Connie made a real impact in season 11. Leaving them out wouldn't sit right either. They earned their spot. So, if season 12 or a big crossover is going to happen, it needs to be all hands on deck. Not everyone has to be on screen at once, but they got to find a way to make it work. If they can get all the stars aligned, even for just one more major season, it could be epic. But until then, a crossover feels more like a dream than something that's definitely happening. And let's be honest, there is still so much story left to tell. The spin-offs are cool and all, but they only scratch the surface of what's possible. Think about all the unresolved threads still dangling out there. Where exactly has Rick been all this time? What's going on with CRM? What's the full extent of this post-apocalyptic world beyond the areas we've already seen? There's a whole globe angle that's barely even been touched. Season 12, or a massive crossover, could finally be the thing that ties all of that together. Plus, fans are hungry for that emotional payoff. People want those reunions. We've been writing with these characters for over a decade, watching them fight, fall in love, lose people, and survive everything imaginable. Seeing them reunite, especially Rick and Daryl, would be one of those full circle moments that hits hard. But if it doesn't include the right people, it risks falling flat or feeling like just another side story instead of the big satisfying finale fans deserve. There's also the question of tone. The main series had a perfect mix of survival horror, character drama, and intense action. Some of the spin offs lean more into stylized or experimental territory, which is cool for a change of pace, but that classic TWD vibe is what made the show iconic in the first place. If they're really bringing the main crew back for something bigger, it should feel grounded and gritty again, like the world is still brutal, but the people we care about are rising up to face it one last time. And honestly, it feels like now is the perfect time. The spin-offs have built up enough momentum and proven that there's still a loyal fan base. If AMC ever wanted to drop a bombshell announcement about season 12 or an epic crossover, doing it soon would have the biggest impact. The timing lines up. Rick's return is fresh in everyone's mind, and people are already speculating like crazy. Strike while the hype is hot. On top of that, there's potential to bring in new viewers too. If marketed right, a massive Walking Dead event could pull in fans who maybe dropped off a few seasons ago. Everyone loves a good comeback story, and saying, hey, the whole crew's back for one last ride is a huge selling point, especially if it's tied to something high stakes like the end of the world as we know it, again, but bigger. And yeah, the logistics would be insane. Scheduling, contracts, budgets, just thinking about it makes your head spin. But if they can pull it off, even halfway, it would go down as one of the most iconic events in TV history. It's the kind of thing fans talk about years later, like, remember when they actually made that happen? And in a world where everything's getting reboots and revivals anyway, why not make this one count? At the end of the day, it all comes down to one thing: fans want closure. Real, proper, emotional closure. Not just for the characters, but for the journey we've all been on. If The Walking Dead is truly going to end, in the end, it deserves to go out with a bang, not in pieces scattered across spin offs, but as one massive, unforgettable finale that brings everyone home. Of course, none of this means they need to drag it out forever. A 16 episode season could be the perfect way to wrap everything up once and for all, tie loose ends, give characters satisfying arcs, and show how this broken world finally finds some kind of peace. The key is making it feel earned. After sticking with these characters through heartbreak, war, betrayals, and near death experiences, fans deserve an ending that feels big, bold, and complete. So yeah, while a season 12 or a huge crossover still feels like a long shot, it's definitely not off the table. The hype is real, the characters are still beloved, and the story has gas left in the tank. If the stars align and AMC really wants to go all in one last time, they've got everything they need to make it legendary. All we can do now is wait and hope they don't let this chance slip away. But anyway, y'all, I'll see you in the next one.